Too close to call for now. What's your take on how this election will go and who's the favourite and who has the best chance?
According to my analysis, the favourite is the outgoing president.
Right.
Because he has the support of a lot of his followers. Though there is, I think, a very heavy challenge that Atiku is given to him, particularly because he is from the north also, and he is a Fulani like Buhari. So I think it's a brotherly face-to-face. You know.
Right, so the fact it's a very diverse country, Nigeria, but the two major candidates are from the same region in the north, more or less, and from the same ethnic background. Is that not, I suppose, eliminating a whole lot of the country from, I suppose, the political process? How do people in the south of the country feel about that?
Well, if we want to narrow it to ethnic linings, I would say yes. But I think that for Nigeria's democracy, it's a good thing. It's a good thing in the sense that we are not going to vote again, along ethnic lines,
right,
in the sense that we have two northern candidates.
So it's about the issues more than kind of identity questions.
Yes, right now some people say it's anti-corruption against competence. Some say no, it is integrity against someone who is corrupt, because suddenly we seem to have realized that Atiku, who was one time a vice president and who was until very recently...
Very wealthy man by all accounts.
Very wealthy man, and until very recently member of the ruling party, is corrupt. And then people question, why is it that when all this time when he had led government, no one realized he was corrupt, until a few weeks ago he was not corrupt, and then suddenly he's corrupt. So I think that is the basic line. And
what about the security situation? How do you think Muhammadu Buhari has done on that question? We can see there that we had a report looking at improvements, I suppose, in Kano, but Boko Haram are still very active. There's attacks very regularly. Is there hope that this could improve?
Well, as a Nigerian, I'm glad to see what's happening in Kano.
Right.
I'm sincerely very, very glad to see that, and that the economic situation is improving also. However, I think that globally we still feel that there is a lot of insecurity in Nigeria, in the sense that if you leave the north, where we have Boko Haram still operating, because I remember in 2014, we were told that the president was going to crush Boko Haram in 2-3 weeks or 2 months after he takes over power. Unfortunately, until today, we still see Boko Haram strike and run, like they were doing. That was the technique in the 2014. However, in the south and in the southeast, we have a lot of insecurity problems also, because we do not want to analyze only in what's happening in the north. We also have problems in the south. I am from the south, and I feel that if we want to talk about globally what has happened during these 4 years, we think that though there is a big change regarding Boko Haram, there is still a lot of insecurity in Nigeria, and we hope that whoever is coming, whoever wins on Saturday, will tackle it very seriously.
Now, what about some of the campaign promises that both of the front-running candidates have made, which is to devolve powers to local states? Now, this is one issue that it seems like it's almost inevitably going to happen, but apparently, if oil resources, which some states produce oil, other states don't produce oil, if they are kept by the states under devolved powers, there is a risk that the states that don't have oil production could lose out big time, right? That they could end up being really impoverished. What do you think of that promise to devolve powers to local states?
Well, our president, President Buhari, is not very okay with what we call restructuring. He doesn't believe in it. I think he believes more on a unitary thing, where federal decisions come from Abuja and then you dissolve to states obey, and then federal government distributes. We have the 13% derivation formula and all that. But I think it's fear that is not. In my opinion, it's not. It's
unlikely to.
It's no,
happen, yeah.
Because you see, when you have, the more you pay to the federal post, and so I don't consider that those fears are really founded. If we had a situation where derivation, wherever the thing comes from, is given to the state, and then the federal government works out a formula where the richer you are, the more you contribute to the federal purse. I think that would give states more responsibility than them, the 36 states, having to wait until the federal government decides on what percentage to distribute and all that. Right. Those of us from the South feel we aren't correctly given what we deserve, because the federal government decides, and we don't have the power, we don't have the means of contesting whatever decisions come from Abuja. So I think the restructuring is one element that would make people in the South vote for or against whoever.
Right. Yes, a key issue. Yeah. Now, another factor that is getting a certain amount of coverage is accusations by each of the main parties of disinformation, of I suppose you get this in most elections, right? Some sort of dirty tactics or lying, or there was a manipulating of images and words, and each party, the APC, is accusing the PDP of that, and vice versa. What's your thought on the extent of disinformation in this election?
I think that the APC successfully used this technique.
That's the ruling party.
That's the ruling party, for example. Successfully used these techniques very, very well in 2014. Right now, I think the problem they have is that they now have a party that says, we couldn't.
It's as good as they are.
As good as they are. So, you see, they begin to cry wolf, but they don't have any need, because the fake news is on all sides of on Buhari's side and on Atiku's side. So I don't think that's a determining element.
Okay, it's kind of they're cancelling each other out on the disinformation points. Well, listen, we'll have to leave it there, I think, for now. But Ebenezer Okpokpo, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about.
Thank you for inviting
this weekend's election.